So sapphire actually comes from the family of corundum, right? And in Sri Lanka, we find sapphires in all colors. In natural form, sapphire, it comes in white. So it's actually the impurity in the sapphire that gives it the blue color. And blue is the most popular and famous one from Sri Lanka. Of course, we have the other range of colors. Now, ruby is also actually a sapphire, so from the corundum family, and it is a red color ruby that is red color sapphire that is called a ruby, so which is really a trade name. So the most popular ones are the blue, the ruby, which is the red, then you find the pink sapphire, yellow sapphire, and a lot of the pastel shades as well, from peach to teal color. And of course, Sri Lanka has a very special stone, which is the Prernaa, which is also known as the king sapphire. This really became popular with the Japanese going back 25 years ago, and it also is the color of the lotus flower in Sri Lanka. And when you look at the sunset, so it's the color just before the sun sets. So that is the Prernaa. Starting from a light to medium to all the way to a deep dark color. Some years ago, some of the large jewelry brands from Europe started using pastel colors. Some of the yellow sapphire is very popular because of the yellow diamond. So the look and feel is very similar. And so the good thing is people do love sapphires all the way from light pastel colors all the way to the deep color. So the blowpipe heating method, which has been done in Sri Lanka for over 40 years, for decades, and it's very popular. It was mainly used initially for the pink sapphire, for the dispersion of the purple in the stone, so that the stone brought more uniformity. In Sri Lanka, we only do the heating part of it. So the heating, so the blowpipe method, then the popularly used system of gas furnaces and electric furnaces. So what these do is more really help the stone's color uniformity and the look and feel to get better. Then what we also find in Sri Lanka is what we call the gewda, milky silky, which is also a young sapphire. So what we are doing is, by going through this heating process in Sri Lanka, we are rapidly changing the look and feel of a young sapphire to a mature sapphire, which is turning into blue or yellow. So this is an age-old tradition, and these sapphires, which is only heated, is almost similar to a natural sapphire, because if everyone in the world wanted only a sapphire which is unheated, then the price of sapphires would really go up. So this way, there's an opportunity for everyone to be able to buy and own a sapphire. So on a commercial level, it can be about maybe 20–30% difference in pricing. But at a collector level, it can be a very special piece, you're like as if a piece of art. So like the heating process does a very permanent change for the sapphire or the gewda. So the price is almost very similar. So it's not a big difference, right? Maybe 30%. So going back to what I mentioned earlier, actually it's the impurity in the stone that gives it color, so whatever color it may be. That's number one. Obviously inclusions and cleanliness and clarity, all that makes valuations different. Doesn't necessarily mean that the inclusion is a problem. Actually an inclusion tells a gemologist that it's a real stone. So inclusion is not a issue, but obviously it can have its own commercial values depending on that particular stone. Actually, that in Sri Lanka we don't believe, because in Sri Lanka they ask you to wear a dark blue stone, which they call khaka neelam, right? Which is a dark neelam, right?
Which is also a trade term.
Trade term. So khaka neelam. So the khaka neelam is asked to be worn as for astrological purposes. So it's slightly different to India, but said that today I think most of the consumers in India also, I have a lot of customers and friends who do wear blue sapphire, but then they don't believe in that aspect of the blue being a issue. Said that Mr. Amitabh Bachchan wears 2 blue sapphires. So as consumers, the younger people mostly don't mind about wearing blue sapphires. Actually, sunlight and light in itself is one of the most important things in gemstones, because it's about dispersion of light, right? So it's what comes out, reflects back from the stone. So stones are cut and placed in jewelry in such a way that, okay, it will show off in the light, right? Whether you are out in the sun or you are going in for a gala dinner or a event, so how it will sparkle. So light remains a very important aspect of how a gemstone reflects itself. Yes, of course, there are from the star sapphires, like even things like the Star of India, which may have been named at that time during colonial times when it was taken, because Sri Lanka was just a drop next to India. So the identification of some of the stones that may be in jewelry owned by the royal families around the world, so many things from Sri Lanka. Actually, Ceylon is our name from before Sri Lanka. So since we changed our name from Ceylon to Sri Lanka, we know it. We will know today as Sri Lanka. One of the main things from the Sri Lankan stones are the silk that comes in the stone, and that we used to previously cut, most of those stones used to be cut into star sapphires, but because of we have gained so much knowledge in the heat processing as well, sometimes without cutting 30 carat star sapphire, they would heat it and make it clear the silk from that stone and make it, cut it into a beautiful 30 carat faceted stone, which may be of a higher value in the marketplace. Star sapphire, because of the silk content, or sometimes the amount of inclusions in a stone. So we would either cut a star sapphire or a cabochon. Now even like especially there is a market, special market for what we call a cabochon sugar loaf, right? There's a very special market, and there's always, I have some customers who's always say, can we unlimited sugar loaves? But today finding sugar loaves also has become a hard fight. So, so the star sapphire in itself, you keep the silk, you have the 6 rays, and that's amazing because you wear it and people are like, because when you walk in the sun or you're under a light, the 6 rays come out and people are like, oh, what's that? So sapphires have quite a few sources, Sri Lanka being one, Kashmir being one, and Australia, Thailand, China, and now Africa, Madagascar, Tanzania and other parts. For example, you could find a Kashmir character looking sapphire in an area called Elahara. And if you go back to the Gondola land, going 900 million years ago, Kashmir, Sri Lanka, Thailand and Madagascar all were one part of a continent. So that is where the Sri Lankan sapphire is very bright right? And then the Kashmiri sapphire has a different nature in it.